Welcome back, children, to our social studies class. Children, today we are going to start with the 6th chapter, that is the polar regions. The regions surrounding the two poles are called polar regions. Okay, first of all, children, we need to know which region is considered as polar region. Okay, so what they are telling is the regions, the areas which are covered by the two poles, okay, surrounding the two poles, okay, are called polar regions. Okay, that zone is the frigid zone, if you remember. See, it will come here also. And you all must be aware of the two poles, North Pole and South Pole. They make up the two frigid zones of the earth. Okay, as I told you that the region which is covered by which is surrounded by the two poles, okay, North Pole and South Pole is known as polar region. Okay, and what they are telling in the next sentence is that they make up the two frigid zones of the earth. Okay, these two regions only make up the two frigid zones of the earth. Which two frigid zones? North frigid zone and South frigid zone. In the next sentence, what they are telling is the North frigid zone. Okay, that surrounds which pole, children? It surrounds North Pole. Okay, and this North frigid zone, it stretches up to which circle? Arctic circle. Okay, वो कहाँ तक stretch होता है? North frigid zone till Arctic circle, and then the temperate zone starts. Okay, North temperate zone. The northernmost parts of Asia, Europe and North America lie in this zone. Now here what they are telling, children, they are talking about three continents here: Asia, Europe and North America. In three continents का जो northernmost part है, okay, the northernmost part of these three continents lies in this zone. That means lies in the frigid zone. The South frigid zone surrounds the South Pole and stretches up to the Antarctic Circle. Okay, now if we talk about the South frigid zone, okay, then it surrounds which pole? Obviously the South Pole. Okay, and वो कहाँ तक stretch होता है? It stretches up to the Antarctic Circle, and then which zone starts? Then South temperate zone begins. Okay, this zone is almost fully covered by the continent of Antarctica. Now children, this zone, that means the South frigid zone, okay, that is almost fully covered, means which continent covers this particular zone, South frigid zone? Continent of Antarctica. Okay. Before moving towards the next topic, children, that is the climate, when you go through the first paragraph, children, along with that also go through the picture which is given on page number 8, okay, of chapter number 2. So this particular paragraph will be clear in your mind. Okay, first paragraph. Now talking about the climate, children, climate of the polar regions. The polar regions are far from the equator and get very slanting rays of the sun. Now children, if we talk about first of all the torrid zone, okay, that zone receives the direct rays of the sun, right? Then if we talk about the temperate zones, then temperate zone receives slanting rays of the sun. Not that much slant but not direct also. Okay, so there the temperature is neither too hot nor too cold, and in torrid it is very hot. Now here we are talking about the frigid zones. Okay, towards the North Pole and towards the South Pole. So both these polar regions are far from the equator. Okay, ये जो polar regions है, North frigid zone, South frigid zone, okay, they are far away from the equator and they get very slanting rays of the sun. In those zones में the sun's rays are very slanting. Okay, these rays spread over a very large area and do not give much heat. Because the sun's rays are very slanting in the polar regions, children, जो rays है that spreads over very large area, okay, and because of that it does not give much heat, okay, to this zone. So these regions are very cold all the time. So because this particular regions, polar regions, it receives very less heat, okay, because of the slanting rays of the sun, what happens is here it is very cold, okay, all the time these two zones are very cold throughout the year. Large parts of these regions are covered in snow and ice all the year round. See, what they are telling is all the year round, throughout the year, most of the part of this region, that means the polar regions, is covered with snow and ice, okay? It is so cold over here. These regions do not get much rain, and the rain is usually in the form of snow. Children, they are telling that these regions, that means the polar regions, they don't get much rain. यहाँ इतनी बारिश नहीं होती है, okay? And the rain is usually in the form of snow. और जितनी भी बारिश होती भी है, that is usually in the form of snow, okay? Now moving towards the next paragraph, children, under the heading climate, what they are telling is the polar regions have very long days in summer and very long nights in winter. During summertime, okay, during summers, the days are very long, and during winters, nights are very long, okay, in the polar regions. When the North Pole is tilted towards the sun and has summer, it has daylight for 6 months. In places close to the North Pole, the sun does not set for many days at a stretch and there is continuous daylight. So what they are telling children, that when the North Pole is tilted towards the sun, जब sun की तरफ North Pole tilt हुआ होता है, झुका हुआ होता है, and has summer, और जब summer होता है वहाँ पे, during that time it has daylight for 6 months. उस टाइम 6 मंथ्स तक डे लाइट होती है, अंडरस्टूड, पूरा दिन रहता है उस टाइम, ओके, उजाला रहता है, रोशनी रहती है फॉर द होल डे फॉर 6 मंथ्स कंटिन्यूअसली, ओके. During this time, the South Pole has winter, it is tilted away from the sun and has darkness for 6 months. When the North Pole is tilted towards the sun, children, and has summer, South Pole obviously is away from the sun, okay, and it has winter, and because it is away from the sun, it has darkness for 6 months. वहाँ पे पूरे 6 महीने तक अंधेरा रहता है, okay. Places close to the South Pole have darkness for many days at a stretch when the sun does not rise at all, okay. So did you understand the difference between the two? Now children, moving towards page number 30 of chapter number 6, the polar regions, okay. So let's go through the next topic, the land. In the polar regions, the land remains covered in snow and ice for most of the year. Now this we discussed in the last page also, children, that if we talk about the polar regions, then here the land, okay, it is covered with snow, ice, okay, for most of the part of the year. In the lowlands close to the Arctic Circle and Antarctic circles, the snow covering the ground melts for a few months in summer. Now they are talking about the lowlands, okay, lowlands which are close to Arctic Circle and Antarctic circles, okay. There the snow covering the ground, वहाँ पे जो snow है जो ground को cover करती है, that melts for a few months in summer, वो कुछ महीनों के लिए summers में पिघलती है. Now because of this melting of snow, children, during the few months of summer, okay, what is formed? Streams, pools and marshes are formed, okay. Marshes means a low area that is muddy, मिट्टी वाला, ओके, बिकॉज वाटर कैन नॉट फ्लो अवे फ्रॉम देयर, ओके, क्योंकि वहाँ से पानी बह नहीं सकता है, सो दैट लो एरिया बिकम्स मडी, ओके, सो दैट इज नोन एज मार्श. The highlands and the regions close to the poles remain frozen all through the year. Now children, the snow which melts, okay, that area is the lowland which is found around Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle. Now they are talking about the highlands and regions which are close to the poles. वहाँ पे तो whole year that area remains frozen, जमा हुआ एकदम, okay. Polar regions are cold deserts. In fact, Antarctica is the largest desert in the world. Okay, so children, here what they are telling that Antarctica is the largest cold desert in the world. Okay, because it is located in which zone? South frigid zone. Okay, so just imagine how much cold it is over there. Now talking about plants and animals, children, in polar regions. In spite of the freezing cold, there are plants and animals in the polar regions. इतनी ठंड होते हुए भी you will find plants and animals over here in the polar regions, okay? When the snow melts in summer, a thin layer of soil appears in which short shrubs, grasses and mosses grow. So children, what they are telling in the next sentence is that during summer, when the snow melts, जब snow melt होती है, पिघलती है, a thin layer of soil appears during that time, okay? And because of that, short shrubs, then grasses and mosses grow over here, okay? Now what are mosses, children? Mosses are small plants, okay, that grow in large numbers. And where do they grow? They grow on damp surfaces of rocks, walls, okay, etc. But the lower layers of the soil remain frozen, so trees and deep-rooted plants cannot grow. Next what they are telling is कि lower layers है जो soil की, वो तो जमी ही रहती है, that remains frozen. So because of that, trees, फिर deep rooted plants जो है, that cannot grow. Only short shrubs can grow, grasses can grow, mosses can grow, but not trees and deep rooted plants, okay? Now moving towards the next paragraph under the heading plants and animals, children. Most animals of the polar regions have a thick layer of fat under their skin to keep them warm, and many have thick fur. Now children, you might be thinking that how is it possible for the animals to survive in such cold regions? Okay, see, most of the animals over here, children, in the polar regions, they have thick layer of fat under their skin. उनकी skin के अंदर, okay, नीचे एक thick layer होती है fat की, which helps to keep them warm. वो उन्हें गर्म रखती है. And most of the animals, they have thick fur. Okay, बहुत सारे ऐसे animals भी हैं जिनके skin के ऊपर thick fur होता है, so that also protects them from very cold. Some of them migrate or move seasonally to warmer places to escape the harsh winter and the shortage of food during this season. Now children, what they are telling over here is that there are some animals, ऐसे animals भी हैं जो migrate करते हैं और move seasonally. What is the meaning of migrate? To travel from one part of the world to another at the same time every year. Okay, where do these animals go? They go to warmer places to escape the harsh winter. यहाँ पे जब winters start होती है, then it is extremely cold. Okay, so what do these animals do? ये जो कुछ animals है वो migrate हो जाते हैं, वो warmer places की तरफ चले जाते हैं. Okay, to escape means बच के जाना यहाँ के harsh winter से, okay, and the shortage of food during this season. Now during this time there is shortage of food also. तो इतनी ठंड, food भी नहीं मिलना. So what do? Some animals move towards these warmer places. Now children, what they are telling is, in the Arctic, the plants that grow in summer, जो plants summer में grow करते हैं Arctic में, okay, they are eaten by animals. Which animals? Animals like reindeer, muskox, Arctic hare, okay. Among the predators of the Arctic are the polar bear, the Arctic wolf, and the Arctic fox. Now children, first of all, what is the meaning of predator? Predator is an animal that kills and eats other animals, okay, अन्य जीवों को मारने और खाने वाला जानवर. तो in this area, which animals are the predators? The polar bear, the Arctic wolf, and the Arctic fox. Now children, moving towards the next para, the animals of the Antarctic region live near the ocean. जो Antarctic region के animals है, where do they live? They live near the ocean. Ocean के पास रहते हैं. And what do they eat? वो क्या खाते हैं? They eat fish and other animals. Why do they eat this? Because very few plants grow there. Because plants जो है वो बहुत कम grow करते हैं इस area में. That is why. Now in the next sentence, they are talking about the most well-known creatures of Antarctic. Which is the most well-known creatures of this area, children? Penguins, okay. These birds cannot fly. They cannot fly. They swim and fish in the sea using their wings like paddles. Okay, वो अपने wings को paddles की तरह use करके what do? They swim and fish in the sea. The next sentence, children, they are also telling that you will find different kinds of seals and whales, okay, in the seas of polar regions, okay. And if we talk about the North Polar Seas, okay, there walruses also are found, okay. Now moving towards the next page, children, page number 31. Okay, now we will study about the life of the people in the polar regions. Antarctica does not have any people of its own. Scientists from different countries go there to study the land, climate, plants, and animals of the region. They live in the research stations that have been built there. वहाँ के अपने कोई लोग नहीं हैं, understood? Antarctica does not have any people of its own जो वहाँ पे रहते हो, okay, but scientists from different countries, okay, अलग अलग countries से scientists वहाँ पे study करने के लिए जाते हैं, to study the land, climate of that area, plants which are found in that area, animals of that region, okay. So to study that, scientists go over there, okay, and live there. And where do they live? They live in the research stations, okay, that have been built for them. Now moving towards the next paragraph, children. The Arctic, on the other hand, has been home to people for thousands of years. Now in this paragraph, they are talking about Arctic. Okay, in the first para, they were telling that Antarctica does not have any people of its own. Okay, but here what they are telling that the Arctic has been home to people. यहाँ पे सालों से लोग रहते हैं, आ रहे हैं, ठीक है. Now in the next sentence, children, they are talking about the people living in that area, okay. Among the people living there are the Inuit of North America and Greenland, the Sami, also called Lapps of Northern Europe, and the Nenets of Northern Asia, okay. The people of the Arctic get food mainly by hunting animals such as seals, whales, musk oxen, walruses, and polar bears. Okay. Now, where do the people get their food from? यहाँ के जो लोग हैं उनको खाना कहाँ से मिलता है? They get their food by hunting animals. Which animals do they hunt? Seals, then whales, musk oxen, walruses, polar bears. Okay. Fishing is also an important source of food. Okay, there are people who are also involved in fishing. Okay, so that is also a source of getting food. In summer they gather berries and food plants during the summer season. Okay, what is the other option of getting food? They gather the berries, वो लोग berries इकट्ठी करते हैं, and food plant also. Okay, some people keep herds of reindeer for milk, meat and skin. Now what is the meaning of herd, children? Herd means a large number of animals that live and feed together. Okay, so कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं who keep herds of reindeer. Okay, and from that what do they get? They get milk, meat and skin. Okay, there are farms where animals are raised for fur. ओके, नाउ वहाँ पे कुछ ऐसे फार्म्स है जहाँ पे एनिमल्स हु हैव फर ऑन देयर बॉडी. ओके, दे आर रेज्ड, दे आर टेकन केयर ऑफ. ओके, फॉर देयर फर. ओके, देयर फर इज यूज्ड इन मेनी थिंग्स. सम वर्क इन माइंस एंड ऑयल फील्ड्स. माइंस मीन्स खान. ओके, now children, moving towards the next paragraph. In the Arctic, people wear very warm clothes and hooded jackets to protect themselves from the cold. Now, as you all know, in these polar regions, it is extremely cold, right? So the people, okay, over here, what do they wear to protect themselves from the cold? They wear very warm clothes and hooded jackets, okay? Clothes are made from the skin of animals like the seal and the reindeer. Okay, now children, the clothes which these people wear of the polar regions, okay, they are made up of skin of animals. Which animals? Seal and reindeer. Okay, nowadays cloth and synthetic materials are also used for making clothes. So nowadays they are using such materials also for making the clothes. Okay, now moving towards the next paragraph. The early people of the Arctic shifted home often, following the animals they hunted. Now children, the people of Arctic, they used to shift their home from one place to another, as I told you, as wanderer, nomads. Okay, why? Following the animals they hunted. Okay, that means they used to hunt and eat. They were hunter gatherers basically. Okay, so they were not living a settled life. Next, what they are telling, see. Now, many people have settled down in the towns that have been built. Now, children, there are many people who are now living a settled life. जो अब एक settled life जी रहे, okay, in the towns. Okay, earlier they used to move from one place to another, but now they are living a settled life. It is difficult to build roads and railways here, as the ground is covered with snow most of the time. Now children, you all are aware that polar regions are mostly covered with snow and ice throughout the year. Okay, so here as the ground is covered with snow most of the time, it is very difficult to build roads and railways over here. Okay, people travel on sledges pulled by huskies, thick coated dogs, or by reindeer. Now children, because here in the polar regions the ground is covered with snow most of the time, so for traveling what is used? Sledges are used, and these sledges, they are pulled by huskies. Okay, huskies are thick coated dogs. Okay, or by reindeer. These days, many people use the snowmobile on land and motorboats in water. Now, what are the other options, children, for traveling available over here is snowmobile on land that you can see in the picture. Many people use that also, and people also opt for motorboats in water. Now, moving towards the next paragraph, children, the Inuit people, earlier called Eskimos, lived mainly by hunting animals like reindeer and seals. Now children, the Inuit people, earlier what were they known as? They were known as Eskimos. They were called as Eskimos. Okay, so how did they live? They lived mainly by hunting. Which animals they used to hunt? Animals like reindeer and seals. Okay, These gave the Inuit food. Obviously, they used to hunt these animals and they used to eat. Okay, so that was a food they used to get. Now children, in the next sentence, they are talking about where the skin of the animal was used. See, it is written, the skins were used to make blankets. They used to make blankets out of that, okay, by using the skin of animals, then clothes, tents and boats, and the bones were used for making tools and weapons, okay. बोन्स को वो लोग कहाँ यूज़ करते थे? हथियार बनाने के लिए, टूल्स बनाने के लिए, ओके. नेक्स्ट दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द ऑयल विच दे यूज्ड फॉर कुकिंग एंड इन लैम्प्स. विच ऑयल डिड दे यूज? दे यूज्ड सील ऑयल, ओके. कौन सा ऑयल वो लोग यूज़ करते थे कुकिंग में, लैम्प्स में? सील ऑयल, अंडरस्टूड. The early Inuit were nomads who moved with animals they hunted. Okay, again they are talking about the early Inuit people. Okay, they were nomads. Nomads, I told you, wanderers. Okay, they used to move from one place to another. Okay, in search of food, shelter, clothing. Okay. Now, children, where did these people live? Okay, in what kind of houses did they live? They lived in tents made of animal skin in summer. In summer, they used to live in tents. Summer time में वो लोग tents में रहते थे. And these tents were made up of animal skin. किससे ये tents बने होते थे? By the skin of animals. Okay. And during the winter time, children, they used to live in houses. Now these houses were covered with sod. Okay, sod is the surface of the ground with the grass growing on it. See, here also the meaning is given at the back on page number 32. A chunk of the top layer of the soil with grass on it. Okay, so these houses were covered with the sod during the winter time. Now in the next sentence, they are telling children that during winters, hunters, that means jo shikar karte the, they used to make a shelter. And what was that shelter? Known as igloo. Okay, igloo is a small house that is built from blocks of hard snow. For travel and transport purpose, children, the Inuit used sledges pulled by huskies. This we discussed in the last para also, that for traveling purpose, as it was difficult, okay, to build roads and railways because the ground is covered with snow most of the time. Okay, so the Inuit, they used sledges, and these sledges were pulled by huskies. Huskies, thick-coated dogs. Okay. For hunting or fishing in the sea, they used a single-seater sealskin boat called kayak or a larger open boat called umiak. Now children, for hunting and fishing purpose in the sea, sea में hunting or fishing करने के लिए what did they use? They used a boat called kayak. Okay, this kayak was a single seater boat. Okay, and कोई एक ही जन बैठ सकता था उसमें, single seater. And what was it made up of? It was made up of seal skin. Okay, or a larger open boat, or the other option was larger open boat it was. Okay, and what was that boat known as? Umiak. Okay. If we compare the two boats, children, umiak boat was larger in comparison to kayak. Okay, in kayak only single person can sit at a time, whereas in umiak more than one can sit. With this, we come to an end of this chapter, children. End of session. Hope you all enjoyed it. See you in the next lecture.